Chapter 7, Part 2. At this moment, Cindy came thundering down the stairs in Kip's hostel, making a loud clunking noise. She was wearing a brown 8-button coat, 4 buttons on each side, of large lapels, under a huge triangular collar. She had a high-waisted skirt hung to her knees. A black shirt with cream stockings completed the disturbance, as did her swollen feet that were painfully inserted into black clog shoes. "There's Cindy. Looks like she's waiting for the guys to join her." "We should follow them," said Poppy, looking up from her book. "Why do you want to follow them?" asked Brian. "Just to make sure they're okay." "Why wouldn't they be?" asked Sarah. "Have you heard something?" "Just gossip," Poppy said. "But you never know." Then there was a noise outside. Someone was shouting, "I'm ready!" It was Cindy shouting towards Kip's open window. Kip looked out. "Who invited you?" he asked. "I'll slap you, boy," she yelled. "Sebastian invited me. Not that it's any of your business." Kip poked his head back in. "Cindy says you've invited her," Kip grumbled. Cindy heard him. "I'm not kidding, Kip." After a minute of muffled whispers, Kip and Sebastian were downstairs. Cindy was quick to scold Kip for his rudeness, and he was forced to apologise. "You go in like that?" asked Sebastian. "Won't you be too warm?" Sebastian was hoping that she would go back inside and rethink her outfit. Cindy just smiled patronisingly and said that she would be fine. Then Kip found himself staring at her teeth. They were huge. Cindy turned and walked towards a bench to sit down. "I bet the girls in her school wondered how she could possibly fit all of her large teeth in that small mouth of hers," Kip whispered. "They must have thought it a most uncomfortable challenge." "Cut it out, Kip," Sebastian quipped. "She's our friend." Cindy had thought that Kip would become a good friend too, perhaps something more. But once Stella had introduced herself to Kip, she had lost him, as often happens when you first arrive at college and make friends with the first people you meet. A week or two later they've forgotten you, as they find friends that they really want. But Cindy had since formed a bond with Sebastian. It wasn't that they had anything in common, it was that they made each other laugh. "I've left my window open. Back in a minute," said Kip, rushing back inside. As Kip went to close the window, having to stretch over to reach the handle, he heard a familiar voice and looked down. There was a caterpillar spinning in the breeze on a thread as 2 lovers French kissed on the bench below. Kip noticed that the woman was about 40, but he couldn't see who it was that she was kissing so aggressively, for his face was obscured by a dark shadow. Kip then saw that the man's hand was feeling its way under the woman's coat. What Kip found most shocking was that Cindy stood watching them. "Sebastian!" Kip shouted from the window. "Is that you?" Kip closed the window, startling the pair. They stopped kissing. As Cindy ran back up the stairs, she knocked at Kip's door and asked him to hurry up, as she was getting impatient. "What's Sebastian doing with that old girl?" "Don't ask. I thought it was you until I saw you standing there." Just then the sound of more footsteps came running up the stairs, irritating Kip's eardrums. It was Brian, Poppy and Sarah. "I wish you wouldn't run upstairs in those boots, Brian. You make too much noise." "Who's that girl outside with Sebastian?" asked Sarah. "I don't know," said Kip. "He never said he had a girlfriend." "Girlfriend? He must be desperate," said Brian. "I thought he was with his granny." "What do you want, guys?" Kip asked. "We thought we'd see if you wanted to join us," said Sarah. "We're going for a walk." "Sure," Kip said. "We were planning to do the same." By the time the gang had stepped outside, the woman Sebastian had been kissing had gone. "Are we all going together?" Sebastian asked, wiping lipstick from his mouth. "Who's your lady friend, then?" "Oh, just some woman, Brian." Knowing that Sebastian didn't want to talk about his mystery lady, the gang headed off across the lawns, passing the mansion and then the Camellia House. As they approached the car park close to the student bar, A young girl thrust a flyer into Kip's hand. "It's free," she said. "You mustn't miss it." Kip read the words and then called to the others. "There's a performance piece in the sculpture garden about to start. Fancy checking it out? We've got time." Sebastian hurried up the path to catch the gang up. He had just popped into the bar to pick up some beer. "Sorry I kept you guys. What's happening?" "We're thinking about going to see this," Kip said, passing Sebastian the leaflet, which he seemed to enjoy reading aloud. "A dance performance is to be performed in the sculpture garden in the circle of trees." Looks boring." "Well, I'd like to see it," said Kip. "We're all lost for ideas. We need some new inspiration." "And you think modern dance might inspire us?" asked Sebastian. "Yes," Kip replied. So after a short debate, it was agreed, and the gang walked up the sculpture trail to the spot marked on the flyer. Without a minute to wait to the sound of pipes, the four partly naked dancers set about their performance piece. "This looks cool," said Brian. The dance began with lots of jagged movements as they changed the position of their legs and arms, moving from one leg to another in quirky succession like lizards on a hot plate, shifting their weight while trying to maintain their balance, then pausing to add some facial burning. It was more of a mime than a dance. Then a new dancer appeared, wearing a sheet over his shoulders, holding on to the corners of it in each hand while making fists. He ran around between the others like a ghost, without any slightest hope of scaring anyone, and therefore did nothing to save the piece from the shambles it was. After the 45 minutes of banality were over, the students dispersed, heading off in various directions. The dancers congratulated each other on what they themselves believed to have been a tremendous success, while changing back into their clothes. "Well, that wasn't good," said Sebastian. "Nijinsky would have turned in his grave." After a few weeks to settle into their new lives, there was a new urgency amongst the first years, that of finding and defining what it was that would set themselves apart from the other students, what shape their art was to take, and in which medium to express it. To help the new chicks, a meeting had been arranged above the student bar. This was to be an open discussion intended to help the new undergraduates to find expression to their artistic ambitions. Kip had believed that theatre would offer him the best way to develop as an artist, but what would he showcase? How would he interpret the texts of the great playwrights? What could he bring to the profession? Or could he write his own groundbreaking plays? End of chapter 7.